singing I Am Light.
In my head, I'm not the pieces of the brokenness inside. I am light, I am light. I am light, I am light. Mistakes that I have made, or any of the things that caused me pain. I am not the pieces of the dream I left behind. I am light, I am light. I If you haven't already, I invite you to place your feet flat on the floor, hold your spine straight, put your hands in your lap, close your eyes, take a nice deep breath in through the nostrils, and exhale. And again, inhale. time, exhale a little bit more. Just really blow all the air out of your body. And then we'll allow the body to go back to breathing on its own, like it does all the time, without any help or thought from us. And we'll just observe. The body will go back to breathing. It'll take on a rhythm. And as you shift your awareness and you're watching your body just breathe on its own, you might even become aware of your heartbeat in your chest. The body breathes on its own all the time. The heart beats all the time, day and night. Night and day after day, month after month, year after year. Your heart has been beating since before you were born. So many things happen without any assistance or aid from us. We just are. And what we are is the awareness, the consciousness. We can be aware of what the mind is thinking. We can be aware if our mind is busy or if our mind is quiet. Awareness, consciousness. I am light. Say quietly to yourself, I am light. And the beauty of all this is that we don't have to do anything to become light. All we do is we become aware that we are the light that is within us, already in us. And we'll take a few moments in meditation, just with our awareness that we are consciousness, we are awareness, we are awake, we are light. It already is. We already are. And so we can just relax and release and just let go. Into the stillness. myself, I am the power of God. And finally, I am the presence of God. As we come back into the room, you can take our time, you can move your fingers and toes. And I invite you to repeat after me and say it out loud. I am the light of God.
I am the light of God.
I am the love of God.
I am the love of God.
I am the power of God.
I am the power of God.
I am the presence of God.
I am the presence of God.
And so it is.
So it is.
Amen. First off, I want to thank everybody, Unity of Myrtle Beach, for having me here. It's such a blessing to be here, and you have the place decorated so beautiful. It's beautiful. It's been so warm in Savannah that I haven't even, how it doesn't really, we had Thanksgiving and everything, but it just doesn't really feel like Christmas. It doesn't feel like the holidays. And it's really nice to come in here and have the nice decorations and everything. And okay, I feel a little of the holiday spirit now. So, and we got a little chill in the air too, so it feels very holiday. And it's such a blessing to be me. I get to travel around to different churches all over the Southeast, and I have friends everywhere, and it's just, I talk to Les Sue a lot, and sometimes I get really torn because everybody's just all spread out all over the place. And so it's really nice to be here right before Christmas because I feel like you all, in a lot of ways, are more of my family than some of my actual family. So this is really working out really well for me to be here. Sometimes you need a little extra of that spiritual mojo before you go hang out with your family. Which is okay. But for those of you who don't know me, I'm visiting from Savannah. I come up from Savannah. I go to Unity of Savannah. I'm the music director there, and I have my own church in Savannah called Tidy Spirit, Tidy Islands out by the ocean, and we just celebrated our 1-year anniversary of the meeting.
Yes.
And so this ministerial thing just sort of started happening to me a few years ago, and so I'm just opening up and accepting it, and I've been studying to become a licensed Unity teacher. And one of the classes I took at Unity Village back in October was, and then we were going to interpret metaphysically all of these Bible scriptures in Acts and Revelations. And so I don't know if any of you have that really big book, the Fillmore Metaphysical Dictionary, and all of that stuff. Right. What does that mean? What does that mean? You look at me funny. What does that mean? So, I found myself in the strangest place. I'm in this classroom in Kansas with these giant books, and we had, and we're going through, and we were interpreting a Revelation and some of the chapters in there and some of the things in there. It's truly fascinating when you read the Bible, but you can read the Bible and you can look through this metaphysical dictionary and you can understand what they were actually saying as opposed to taking it literally, which is exactly what metaphysics is. And some of the things that we read in there that I had always read, and I thought, oh, that's hellfire and brimstone. This is really bad stuff. When we read it and we figured out what the meaning of the different symbols and the words were, it was actually some really beautiful, astounding ideas. And one day we were sitting in class and one of the other students raised her hand and the teacher called on her and she said, "Do you think that they wrote in code on purpose?" You know, do you think that why did they write everything so that we have to interpret it or figure it out? And he said, well, this was thousands of years ago. It was in a different language, and this was the way they spoke, and everybody knew what this stuff meant then. We just don't understand what it means now. And so a lot of places just take the Bible very literally. And so I got to thinking about that, and it made a lot of sense to me. One night this year, I went to go see my favorite band, and I was on the second row. I was right here, seeing my favorite guitar player in the whole world. I was right there, and I came home and I collapsed in the chair, and my wife said, "How was the show?" And I said, "I'm devastated." And she said, "Oh my God, what happened? Was the sound man deaf, or what was the problem?" And I said, no, I'm devastated. She said, "Devastated means it was bad." And I said, "No, it was so good. My brain is just wow, it was just amazing." And she said, "But you keep saying that you're devastated." And we have a lot of terms in our language, in our consciousness, like somebody would say, "Oh, that was wicked." I heard that. So we have these sayings. That show is the bomb. Okay, so we have in modern day, we have all these ideas and we have all these phrases and all these words that we use, and we all know what it means. But thousands of years from now, when somebody who speaks an entirely different language tries to read what we wrote now, they might interpret it completely different. So that just made all the sense in the world to me, was that metaphysics basically goes and we look at the origin of the words and the meanings of the words and the meanings that the words and the stories had during the times that the Bible was written, and it gives us a much clearer understanding of what the storytellers are trying to tell us. Because the Bible wasn't written in a week. It was written over a long period of time. It was written by different people. You see the same story in the Bible, and you see two totally different accounts of the story. And so when we interpret something metaphysically, what we're trying to do is we're trying to figure out exactly what it means. The biggest thing for me about unity is the teaching that heaven and hell are states of consciousness that we can be in now while we're alive. I was raised in a church where they just said, well, whenever you die, if you're really good and you did everything right, you'll get to go to heaven. And if you messed up, if you haven't, given your life to Jesus, then you're going down there. And I know a lot of you are familiar with those kinds of churches. But I love the idea of the consciousness now. What consciousness am I going to live in now? And so, the metaphysical, being Christmas, the metaphysical interpretation of Christmas, I thought I would get out my books and start looking through the story of the birth of Jesus, and I found some really neat stuff. But the neatest thing that I found is that we sure do complicate things. Do we complicate things a lot? Mm-hmm. We sure do complicate things a lot. But in the complicating of things, while I'm studying and looking at what does this mean, and what does that mean, and what does that mean, it massages my brain. You know, it makes me think. New ideas, new thoughts come into my mind. And it really makes me think about certain things. And when I come back around to that conclusion again, gee, you've made this awfully complicated, Kyle. Every time I come back around to that conclusion that I sure have complicated everything, then I'm a little bit more solid with what I'm saying here, which is I am Christ. I am not going to be Christ. I'm not going to become Christ. The Christ consciousness is alert, awake, present, fully here in this moment. And that is what the whole story of the birth of Jesus, everything in there points to that. And some of the interesting things that I found out, I decided that I would use Matthew. Matthew is my favorite writer in the Bible because he always had earthquakes. None of the other, Mark, Luke, they didn't have the earthquakes, but the story, whenever Matthew told a story, I figured he's dramatic like me. Anything of importance happens in the chapter of Matthew. He says, and then there was a great quake. The ground shook. And so I love Matthew. And I can share a little bit of this, of what Matthew says. The story opens with the genealogy of Jesus, with his family history. And it says, so all the generations from Abraham to David are 14 generations. Then from David to the deportation to Babylon, there are 14 generations. And then from the deportation to Babylon to the Messiah, to Jesus' birth, is 14 generations. And understanding the 14 is that 7 times 2. And the number 7 is the number of completeness, both physical and spiritual. It derives much of its meaning from being tied directly to God's creation of all things. 7 is the only number between 1 and 9 where you cannot make a geometric form. You can only approximate it. 7-side angles cannot be calculated even digitally. And somebody said to me not long ago, I've seen 7-pointed stars before, but if you study up, they can't be true stars. They can't be perfectly measured stars because 7 won't do that. Even if you try to do it with a computer. 7 is a very interesting number. When you run light through a prism, you can find 7 numbers or 7 colors. There's 7 colors. And so the number 7 gives us this idea that we're transcending the grasp of humanity. So 7 symbolizes, Kyle, this is something that is beyond what your mind can comprehend. Times 2, 3 times. So we have a very big event that's happening here, is the symbolism behind that. Everybody always wants to talk about the Virgin Mary, and everybody always wants to know about the Virgin Mary. During these times that the Bible was written, the idea of the Virgin, Jesus' mother had to be a virgin. She could not be a virgin, because being the Virgin giving birth symbolizes consciousness, spirituality, rather than the material. A virgin cannot give birth to the material. Right? How can that happen? So Mary symbolizes the birth of the spiritual, birth of the consciousness. Okay? That's the whole idea behind the Virgin Mary. Matthew said that Joseph was a really nice guy.
Very understanding.
Well, he was a righteous man, and Mary became pregnant before they had been together, and it says he was unwilling to expose her to public disgrace, so he planned to dismiss her quietly.
That's a righteous guy.
Walk by you at the mall and not say hello to you. So, the key elements in this story, we had 14 3 times, and 3 is the Holy Trinity, of course. 3 is the triangle. It's the simplest form, and to me, you're dealing with the body, the mind, and the consciousness. The body, and the mind, and the spirit is what the 3 symbolizes to me. There was 3 wise men, and the 3 wise men brought frankincense and myrrh and gold. They brought 3 gifts. The 3 wise men brought 3 gifts. And gold, the gold that the wise men brought to the Christ child was a consciousness of the omnipresent richness of substance, which I take to mean body. The frankincense metaphysically represents in man the transformation of the material consciousness into the spiritual, the mind. Because the mind is how we transform. And then the myrrh represents the resurrection, or an ointment of love. The myrrh is when we go, oh, wait a minute, I'm watching my brain think. I'm aware of what my brain is doing. I'm not my brain. So the 3 of them together, in the combination, we have to have all 3 for the experience to happen. And the experience that we are shooting for here is the rebirth or the birth of the Christ consciousness, which is awake, alert, aware. I know that I'm not my mind and my body. I tell my hand to wave at you, and it does. I tell my body to take a deep breath, and it does. And meanwhile, we walk around and we act like, we go places and we don't like it, and we're in situations and we don't like it, and we just forget all about the fact that we're the one that told ourselves to get up and take ourselves there. I talk to people all the time. I hate my job, I hate my job, I hate my job. I say, why do you get up every day and take yourself? They say, well, I don't know. They have their reasons. Stars. I love the idea of the stars, because once again, the star represents a truth that is remote. It's over there. It's outside of my comprehension. But the 3 wise men followed the star. Right? They followed the star. Why? Because when we're in consciousness, when we're present, when we're awake, more and more and more, we intuitively know. We're intuitively drawn to people who are vibrating on the same channels that we're vibrating on. And we intuitively want to do things. We intuitively have ideas. We intuitively know what to do. And the wise men followed the star until it stopped. Boom, there's the Messiah. There's the Christ. Charles Fillmore wrote, Christ is the cosmic man or the grand man of the universe, often referred to by religious mystics, is the Christ, and the Christ is the higher self of man. There is seemingly great mystery is reduced to simple numbers. We do not realize the nearness of the cosmic man because we have not found our real selves. Jesus Christ educated his followers to discern the real man. Not the real man out there, the real man within, is what Jesus was teaching us. And then the bomb. Jesus taught us that there is a power in man that gives him the authority over the things of the world. And that is what we teach in unity. And we even go further than that, because we don't say there is a power in you that gives you the authority, do we? We say you are the power that has the authority over your life. We have power and authority over our lives as we live, as we accept this responsibility, as we accept this truth. Meditating, affirming the affirmations and the denials, all the spiritual work that we do here is to awaken ourselves and to be present. You know, the best present you can ever give to anybody is your attention. What's the best present that you can give this Christmas?
Money.
Your attention. Money's good, buddy. Money's good. But every year, at the end of the year, I sit and I write in my journal and I write about everything I did that year and all the places that I went that year and all the things that I accomplished that year. And every year, I come to the same conclusion. Like, the coolest thing about being at Canuga is Jerry Gervais was there, Reverend Gervais was there, and we hugged each other. It's the people.
Yeah.
It's the people. We get so focused on stuff and things, and am I going to get this? Am I going to get that? And what does this person want? And you know what? That stuff is just, it's just not the important stuff. The important stuff is the people. Like Susan Bowles.
Amen.
What I'm going to invite myself to do this Christmas, and what I'm going to invite you to do this Christmas, is to celebrate Christmas. Be aware that it's the people around you that matter. Enjoy the people around you, but even more importantly, you've got to remember you. I've got to remember me. I've got to remember to stay focused. I've got to remember to stay present. If you drift off, don't worry about it, because every time you come back, Jesus has been reborn. I teach meditation, and I teach people to sit quietly and count to 25, and they're like, man, every time I get to 3, I drift off. Every time I get to 7, I drift off. Well, every time you realize that you've drifted off, you're back. So we can celebrate. So that is the idea of Christmas. That's what the story of the birth of Jesus is all about. It's the birth of the spiritual. It's me recognizing that I'm not the body that I'm in. I'm not the mind. I'm a spirit. That's it. Let's take this into prayer. In prayer, we're going to raise our consciousness and raise our awareness to what is already here, all the time. We know the life force surrounds us, enfolds us, flows through us, expresses as us. The life force is us. The life that we live is actually not even our own. The life that we live is the life of God, expressing through us as us. In prayer, let us affirm, I am the light of God. I am the love of God I am the presence of God. I am awake. I am alert. I am awareness. I have a big smile on my face because I feel the joy of the birth of Christ. That I am, that we all are. So it is. Amen.
Thank you very much. While they're getting ready, let's take a moment and take a deep breath. You'll repeat this along with me, our offering blessing.